AITA for calling the police on local teens who kept stealing from my family's shop after their parents said I was harassing kids and told me to get a hobby. I'm Mark 50M and I've been running Mark's Corner Store, not the real name, obviously, for the last 25 years. It's a classic small-town general store. We sell everything from fresh milk and local honey to newspapers, vape juice, cheap toys, and enough sugary junk to fuel a marathon. My dad started the place, and I've poured my whole life, soul, and savings into this little slice of the neighborhood. Everyone knows me. I've watched the local kids grow up, given them their first jobs, spotted them a pack of gum when they were short on change. But over the last 6 months, something has soured. We've had a huge, noticeable increase in shoplifting, and it's almost exclusively by a small group of 4 local teenagers, all around 15-16 years old. At first, I didn't want to believe it. This is a good, quiet neighborhood. I thought maybe I miscounted inventory or an item fell off a shelf. The initial thefts were small, a candy bar here, a soda there. Harmless, right? Kids will be kids, I told myself. It was the principle of the thing, but I let it go. But it kept happening, and the items got more expensive. Suddenly, it wasn't just a Snickers bar, it was expensive imported energy drinks, several boxes of those ridiculously pricey vape pods, and whole racks of novelty keychains and lighters. I started watching the CCTV footage religiously, and there they were, the same 4 kids, Tyler, Brendan, Chloe, and Maya, boldly stuffing things into their backpacks or under oversized hoodies. They'd distract the new part-time kid, or wait until I was stocking the refrigerated section, and just walk out with hundreds of dollars worth of goods over time. I was losing $50 to $100 a week. For a small shop like mine, that's not petty theft. That's cutting into my power bill, my son's college savings, and my ability to keep the lights on. The cost of goods goes up, and the stolen items hit me twice, once on the purchase price and once on the lost profit. It was making me sick to my stomach, watching my livelihood bleed out because these kids felt entitled to it. My first move wasn't to call the cops. I wanted to handle it locally, discreetly, and humanely. I tried talking to the kids first. I pulled Tyler aside one day when he came in alone. I was gentle but firm. I said, "Tyler, I saw you on the camera yesterday. Please just stop. I don't want to get your parents involved, but I can't keep losing stock. I'll forget it ever happened if it stops now." He looked me dead in the eye, shrugged, and said, "You must be mistaken, Mark. Maybe you need new cameras." The sheer disrespect was a punch to the gut. After that failed, I tried talking to the parents. This is where the real horror show began. I know these parents. I sold Brendan's dad his first fishing lure. I used to babysit Chloe's older sister. I called Brendan's mother, Karen, not her real name but fitting, and told her what was happening, emphasizing I had video evidence. Her response, she actually yelled at me, "You are profiling my perfect son." He would never. "You have lost your mind, Mark. You are getting old and suspicious. Find a hobby and stop harassing high school students." The rumor mill started almost instantly. Because this is a small town, Karen and some of the other defensive parents immediately went to the local Facebook community page. They didn't mention theft. They only mentioned that Mark at the corner store is being overly aggressive and suspicious toward local teens, making our kids uncomfortable. Suddenly, I was the problem. I'm now getting dirty looks from people who have bought coffee from me for 2 decades. My part-time employee quit because he felt too much tension. After all this, they came in again 2 days ago. They brazenly walked out with about $60 worth of specialized vape pens. I was restocking the ice cream freezer, and by the time I saw them dart out the door, they were gone. I snapped. The sheer hopelessness, the disrespect, the financial strain, and the utter failure of the parents to take responsibility just broke me. I walked straight to the back office, pulled up the clear CCTV footage of this last theft, and called the non-emergency police line. I filed a formal report, listing the dates and times of every theft I could definitively prove with the video, and I included the estimated monetary value, which was well over $1,000 combined. Now the parents are furious. Karen has called me 3 times, screaming that I've ruined her son's future over a few candy bars. One of the fathers, a local contractor, pulled up to my store and told me I was a vindictive old man and threatened to organize a boycott. I'm sitting here, watching the door, terrified of the next confrontation, but also watching the video of those smug kids walking out with my merchandise. My wife says in TA, I did what I had to do to protect our business, but the way the community is reacting, painting me as the villain who calls the police on kids, makes me doubt everything. I feel desperate and alone. AITA for finally calling the police and pressing charges after the parents refused to intervene and instead blamed me. Edit. While the initial reactions are pouring in, the NTA votes are a lifeline. To clarify, someone asked if I should have filed a civil suit. Honestly, I didn't even think of that. I just reacted when the system, the parents, failed completely. I'm trying to keep my head up for the impending fallout. Update 1. Thank you all so much. I didn't sleep for 2 days after posting the original story, but reading the nearly 4,000 comments, especially the unanimous NTA votes from my fellow small business owners, has given me a shield of sanity. Someone in the comments said, the $1,000 wasn't stolen inventory, it was stolen trust, and that hit me hard. That's exactly how I feel. The situation has only escalated since my first post. The parents of the kids, especially Karen, Brendan's mom, have doubled down on their campaign against me. Yesterday, the contractor father, Tyler's dad, showed up at my store with his wife during the 5 p.m. rush. This was the public scene. He didn't shout, but his voice was loud, icy, and aggressive. He stood by the main aisle in full view of 3 regular customers and said, "Mark, I'm giving you one last chance to do the right thing and drop this petty complaint. You are ruining my son's shot at college over a few packs of gum. This town has always supported you, don't forget that." It was a thinly veiled threat of a total boycott. I felt my hands shaking as I replied, "Get out of my store. I have an ongoing police investigation and you are harassing a witness." They left, but the customers looked uncomfortable, and one lady, a longtime customer, just put down her basket and walked out. The stress is killing me. I feel like a pariah. In addition to the public shamming, the social media firestorm has gotten worse. The neighborhood Facebook page is a disaster. It's a complete echo chamber of people who only know the parent side. Mark is an angry man who hates teens. We should support our kids, not call the police on them, and boycott the corner store. Support local families, not greedy shopkeepers. I saw one post that got 200 likes that suggested I was clearly padding the numbers to file a bogus insurance claim. That was a low blow. Yesterday afternoon, 2 uniformed officers came to the shop. This was the police visit. They were polite and professional. They spent an hour reviewing the CCTV footage with me, logging the dates, times, and value of the stolen items. When they finished, the senior officer, Officer Reynolds, looked at me and said, "Mark, based on this footage, this is not isolated. This is a clear, systematic pattern of theft. They are targeting high-value items, they work together, and they clearly know your blind spots. You were right to file this report." That validation felt incredible, but it didn't stop the parent smear campaign. They claim the police are biased and that the footage is taken out of context. They believe that because they are good local families, their kids are immune to actual consequence. The worst part is the doubt. All the anger and community isolation is starting to eat at me. I've had the store for 25 years. I love this town. I've been agonizing over the comments that said I was ruining these kids' futures. Maybe I am. Maybe I should just call the police back, drop the complaint, and try to make peace with the neighborhood so I can go back to being a simple shopkeeper. But if I do that, the kids will know they got away with it, and the parents will win, confirming their belief that they are untouchable. Should I drop the complaint to try and make peace with the neighborhood and save my reputation? Or should I stand firm and let the legal process run its course, knowing I risk losing my livelihood? Update 2. The last few weeks have been a waking nightmare, but finally, the fog is starting to lift. I can breathe again. I stood my ground. Inspired by the sheer number of NTA comments and Officer Reynolds' professional confirmation, I decided I couldn't drop the complaint. To do so would be to validate the theft and the parents' horrible behavior. The breakthrough came last Tuesday. It had nothing to do with my store, but everything to do with these kids. The police caught Tyler and Brendan red-handed shoplifting from the Shell station 3 towns over. This was the bust. They weren't stealing candy. They were trying to walk out with several cases of expensive oil and filters. They were detained, and during the interrogation, the kids folded. It turns out these 4 kids weren't just stealing for fun or personal use. They were running a small, sophisticated racket. This was the confession. They would steal high-demand, non-perishable goods like vape pods, energy drinks, and specialty electronic accessories from multiple small businesses, my store, the local pharmacy, a sporting goods store, and then resell them in bulk online and to older teens from other high schools. The $1,000 I estimated was actually just the tip of the iceberg. The total estimated value of goods stolen by this group over the course of the year is now thought to be over $8,000. When the police realized this wasn't just a handful of kids taking gum, but an organized interstate theft ring, they launched a full investigation. My CCTV footage became absolutely crucial because it clearly established the identities of the 4 primary suspects, the pattern of their operation, and a verifiable timeline that helped link them to thefts in other jurisdictions. The immediate fallout began with the parents. The tone of the neighborhood changed overnight. When the local paper printed a small but neutral article confirming the police were investigating a multi-store theft ring involving local teens, the parents who were initially the loudest went silent. 2 of the mothers, Chloe's and Maya's, came into the shop separately and offered genuinely tearful, whispered apologies. They didn't apologize for their kids stealing, they apologized for how they treated me. Chloe's mother said, "Mark, I am so ashamed. I believed her when she said you were just picking on her. I was blind." That small act of humility meant the world to me. Unsurprisingly, Karen, Brendan's mom, and Tyler's dad are still refusing to take full responsibility. They are now claiming their kids were manipulated or coerced by older external influences. The social media hate has quieted down, but the boycott threats have become pathetic. The most amazing thing happened. The other small business owners, who were too afraid to speak up before, started coming in. Mr. Henderson from the hardware store, Mrs. Petrova from the bakery, they all confessed that they'd been experiencing similar, unexplained losses and had been too scared to challenge the powerful parents. My footage helped them file their own reports, and were finally starting to feel like a united front again. This was the community shift. I was emotionally and financially drained, but seeing the truth come out, seeing that my sanity hadn't failed me, was better than any restitution. The loneliness is gone. People are smiling again when they come into the shop. The legal process is still ongoing, but the kids have been formally charged and the parents are facing the very real consequences they tried to avoid. I'm no longer the villain. I'm the guy who stuck to his principles when the whole town tried to make him look crazy. I'm feeling a mix of vindication and profound sadness. I got my reputation back, but I hate that it came at the cost of these kids getting caught up in a legal mess. Was there any other way this could have ended? Final update. It's been 8 months since my original angry post. The legal saga is finally over, and my life and the town's perception of me has returned to normal, only better. This is my final closure on the matter. The emotional arc has completed its cycle. Frustration, right arrow, despair, right arrow, vindication, and now, finally, peace. The court process concluded a few weeks ago, marking the legal outcome. Because the total value of the theft was so high and the teens had no prior serious record, the juvenile court focused on rehabilitation and accountability. First, the teens were ordered to pay full restitution, covering the entire $8,000 plus loss across the various businesses. The parents, obviously, had to foot the bill. For me, this meant a significant payment that covered the stolen stock and the lost revenue, finally ending my financial strain. Second, all 4 teens were assigned extensive community service and mandatory youth counseling. The judge was clear. This was a second chance, not a dismissal. Unsurprisingly, Karen and Brendan's dad continued to be the most hostile, but they had to cut a check like everyone else. Tyler's parents were deeply humbled. The most important outcome for me wasn't the money, but the fact that every one of the 4 teens had to write a formal letter of apology to me, detailing their actions and expressing regret. Those letters were heartbreakingly honest and provided more closure than 1,000 apologies from their parents ever could. The community reconciliation has been slow but steady. The handful of families who screamed the loudest eventually just moved away or went silent. The vast majority of my loyal customers returned, and the store is busier than ever. People now come in and tell me, "Mark, thanks for standing up for what's right." I feel their respect, and it's a wonderful thing. I even had a weird, awkward, but ultimately important interaction with Tyler's mother a month ago. She stopped me outside the shop, apologized again, and admitted that their family had been struggling and that she was so ashamed of how quickly she tried to blame me to avoid confronting her own son's issues. We didn't become friends, but we achieved a mutual understanding. This was a true step in rebuilding the community's trust. I realized that while my shop needed better security, I finally invested in a state-of-the-art security system and better lighting. The community needed something too. I started a small paid youth shop assistant program. I hired 2 local high schoolers, not from the original group, to work 4-hour shifts after school, helping with restocking, customer service, and inventory. This program is my way of turning the page and rebuilding trust. The idea isn't just cheap labor. It's about giving teens ownership and responsibility in the place they walk into every day. The atmosphere is totally different. They guard the store better than any camera because they feel a sense of belonging and respect. I was ready to sell my business and leave the town I grew up in. I was ready to believe I was the petty, vindictive old man the parents painted me as. But I learned the hardest lesson. Sometimes doing the right thing makes you the villain for a while, but the truth is stubborn. My initial defensive rage was justified because I was fighting for my business against criminal behavior and systemic parental negligence. I was NTA for calling the police. I was human for doubting myself when the whole town turned against me. To the thousands of Redditors who said, "NTA, stand firm, thank you. You were the voice in my head that stopped me from dropping the complaint and letting these kids continue their path of theft and enabling their parents' harmful denial. I'm wiser now. I know the kids in my town are complex, capable of both making mistakes and growing from them. And I know my job as a shopkeeper isn't just to sell milk and papers, it's to be a responsible member of the community, which sometimes means enforcing accountability, not just offering candy. I no longer fear the parents. I no longer fear the town. I'm just Mark, the shopkeeper, ready for the next 25 years.